Well, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, October the 15th. The time is 7 p.m. I'll call to order a regular meeting of Town Council. Are you fellows ready to go there, Mr. Baker, or are you having problems?
Well, we're having some technical difficulties, but we're hopefully at the work out.
Okay. Well, I'll call to order the meeting and welcome all of councillors. Welcome to CAO Jeff Baker, Municipal Clerk Kim Gaisley, and Police Chief Louis Sutherland, and as well all those who are watching online. Council, the agenda is before you. There's one additional correspondence that went out this afternoon that I trust you all got it, and we'll add that to the agenda for tonight. And if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the additional correspondence. Oh, gracious sakes. I think Councillor McCrae, got your hand up first, and I'm not sure. I think it was Councillor Toombs got the second. Moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Any declarations of conflict of interest on any of the topics that we're having here tonight? Hearing none, we'll move right along. There's no delegations or speakers, so we'll move right along to the minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of September the 9th, regular meeting, are before you. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of September the 9th? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt those minutes as circulated. So moved by Councillor Doucette, seconded by Deputy Mayor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Business arising out of the minutes of September the 9th. Any business arising out of the minutes on September the 9th? Councillor Gallant.
Thank you, Your Worship. 7.3.2 regarding I brought it up there regarding the pedestrian crosswalks there with the barriers. I'm just wondering if there's been any contact with transportation on that.
Mr. Baker, have you been in touch with them?
I have not.
No. I guess not at this time. Yes, Councillor?
Just wondering if, I just speak on it again for a second. I did have, I don't know if any other council members had any other people bring it up, but I did have a couple of individuals spoke about it as well, and they felt the same way, that those barriers coming from one way do block either the vehicle from seeing the pedestrian or vice versa. So I'm just curious if we could probably contact them again. I know they'll be taking them out probably here in another month or so for this year, but might be something to look at for in the future.
All right. Any Chief Sutherland? Do you want to go to the microphone? Do you want to go to the?
Just, we looked at that from our perspective in the car and stuff, and what Councillor Gallant does say is correct. You probably have to move the one up here, I think, is the one that was the worst. But you probably have to change positions of where it's situated. And but people are using them, but sometimes they just turn the light on and go. So we've watched that a couple of times too. But and they are going to take them out before the end of the month. I do know that. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, no problem.
Deputy Mayor Spencer.
I do, thank you, Your Worship. I did notice myself, I use them every day at lunchtime, the one on Victoria Street. And I have noticed people reach towards the button. Now, I'm not sure if they're pushing it properly or not, and the lights not come on. So I'm not sure. Now, today I used it. I pushed it, the lights came on. Lights typically have worked for me. I'm not sure if people are pushing the wrong spot or if sometimes they do fail. I'm not sure which it is, but I'm sure by next spring they'll have to put new batteries in them or whatever they're doing with them, so they'll probably be tested again.
All right, we'll make note of that and then mention it to Department of Transportation. Mr. Baker's got a note of it. Anything else, Council? Councillor Gallant?
Also on, find it here now, 7.10.2 regarding the traffic Garden Drive, Stewart Street, where we're going to, I guess, send off a letter regarding them, asking them to look at that regarding the extra traffic or Garden Drive intersection there.
Yeah, I haven't written a letter yet. I have talked to Oh, gracious sakes, I think it was MLA McKay, I believe. But I haven't written a letter, and I don't think you have, Mr. Baker, but that's on our to-do list, is it?
It is on our
One
to-do
of us
list.
is going to do it. I'm not sure which one.
I did have a conversation with a staff person at the Department of Transportation. Again, no commitments of anything at this point, but the letter is certainly on our radar to write, yeah.
All right. Any other council? All right, then we'll move right along to the next item on the agenda. Give me a minute. Is reports. So the CAO's report is the next item on the agenda. Are there any questions on the CAO's report to the end of September? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. I was just wondering if there's any further updates on the negotiations with the lot sales at the new business park.
There's nothing new. It's, Mr. Baker, is anything new? It's just ongoing stuff with the 2 or 3, but there's nothing sold.
It's ongoing. I did have a conversation with somebody as recent as this morning, so I do expect an offer to come this week on that particular lot. I do have another individual that expressed interest in a lot, not in a position to purchase until the next fiscal year.
Yeah.
And that's about it at this
Okay.
point, yeah.
No, I was just wondering. Thank you.
Anything else, council, on the CAO's report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next report is the Fire Department statistical report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor McCray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Spencer. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. The next report is the Police Department statistical report. That report is before you. Are there any questions, Council? Councillor Gallant.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question. I just wanted to comment again regarding, I think I brought it up at the end of last meeting regarding and the chief wasn't here at the time, but regarding a couple of concerns I had of speeding on Route 20, going out to Malpeck Road, where there was a lot of heavy speeding out there, and 2 or 3 cars in particular. And I did ask the individuals that brought it to my attention to contact police, and whether they did or not, I don't know, but I'm just wanted to bring it up again, that's all.
Do you have any particular time of day when that's happening, Councillor Gallant, or do you not know?
One individual said it was more in the mornings, but the other one said it could be almost any time.
Coming in or going out?
Mostly coming in, yeah.
All right, yes.
And these individuals live right along, as you get into town between Maple Lane and up that area.
Chief, you had something to say?
Just so you know, I am aware of the complaints. They haven't come recently. We try and get down there once a day and do radar. We were down there on the weekend because of potato trucks. There was a couple of complaints about that. And we'll be down there again tomorrow. Speeding in general, council and your worship is up. We had 2 cars this afternoon, one on Victoria West going over 100, and another one here on Broadway South going over 100 within an hour of each other. So we're at it all the time. We're hard on the schools in the morning, and it's going well up there. And I do know about the ones, Councillor Gallant, on Broadway, and they are early in the morning. We did get one there in July, but they are there, and I promise we'll keep at it.
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, Deputy Mayor Spencer first.
Thank you, Your Worship. I was just wondering, a question for the chief through you. If there's any leeway in when we pull someone over going over 100, is there the option for the officer to either give the maximum fine, or is there a minimum, or is there just one option? Because I would think at that speed, you're putting everyone's safety at risk. So I wasn't sure if there is, I would hope that if there is an option, we're not going to a lesser option.
Chief, do you have anything to say?
Sure.
With all Highway Traffic Act and summary offense tickets, there is the option to go down. And sometimes we do go down. Sometimes we're not averse to giving someone a break. When you get to 100, that's pushing it. And normally, in the 2 cases we had this afternoon, for example, we did not take the vehicles because one of the vehicles was a commercial vehicle. The owner of the commercial vehicle came on scene just by accident. And the second one was someone else driving the other person's vehicle. So rather than inconvenience those people, the operator of the commercial, the one that owned the commercial truck, said he won't be driving it tomorrow. So I mean that's good. So we have to be lenient, in some regards. And we don't. And we've towed a number of vehicles lately. But speeding is it just seems like you can't get it stopped. But we're trying hard. So if you see the cars out there, they're actively at it.
And Chief,
Thank you.
when you mention 100, you mean 100 in a 50-kilometer zone?
100, both were in the 50s, yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Any, Councillor Doucette?
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, that just kind of actually reminded me as well, though I had gotten a couple of people talk to me in regards to Barrett Street and School Street as well. It was Barrett Street, I believe, was either early morning and I think, around supper time or end of the day type thing, heading, I guess, out towards Kelvin Grove area, and School Street seemed to be, I think almost people were using that as a kind of a different route to avoid the lights, and we're kind of speeding down that way. Yeah, those are the 2 that I recall. But also, I wanted to applaud your work at the school. Obviously, I'm on drop-off duty every now and again, and I have seen the presence there, and it's everybody's going smoothly up there.
Chief?
Yeah, well, thank you for the school, but we've been up there with, the deputy chief and I have been up there in our own vehicles, monitoring traffic, because there's some violations going on out there that need to be dealt with, and we call a marked car to come get it. In regards to School Street, it's on the other end of school, like going towards Sunset?
No, I think it's coming.
That's,
I think it's coming down down School Street towards like the heart of the town.
Broadway.
Yeah.
Okay.
To Broadway.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, that's not an area that we're in doing radar a lot, but it's hard to get set up there.
Yeah,
So you
for sure.
Anyway, we'll give it a shot, so you know.
Yeah.
And but the school is a priority every morning for us, and there's been 3 of us there most days since the school opened because of the 12-hour shift. It allows us to have extra people working. So anyway, we're doing. I think we're doing okay up there.
Yeah,
and the principal has commented as well. He's happy. So, and yeah, it's good.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions on the Police Department statistical report? Councillor Mann?
Well, thank you, Worship. Speaking about speeding and stuff, is the speed sign working on Victoria Street West? The one in front of the RV dealer? Because I don't think I remember seeing a blink in the last few times I've come in the town.
I just came in there today, and I don't recall it myself,
So-
now that you mention it.
I saw the red and blue lights when I come home today.
Sorry?
I saw the red and blue lights when I came home today.
Yeah.
They had someone on Victoria West.
Yeah, that was probably the one that was going over 100. I'll check it in the morning, but it has been working every day because when we go through with the moving radar, we always make sure that it's both are showing the same. So I'll check it in the morning.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to receive and adopt the report, the Police Department statistical report. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, thanks, Chief. Yeah, good night. The development permit summary report is before you. Are there any questions on the development permit summary report? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question again, but I guess it is kind of a question. I'm just regarding, and it means it's on this report. It's not about the report itself, but it might be a good time while I think of it to bring it up. Regarding development, and I just want to speak a bit about the Sunset, I guess the Sunset subdivision
Ranchland
there.
Estates?
Yeah, that's the name,
Okay.
ranch. Back a few months ago, I guess now, whenever it's probably a couple of years, I guess now, time goes so fast. Whenever we were talking about the new business park, there was talk at that time of putting in a lift station for that subdivision, I think. I'm correct in saying that. And I'm just wondering if and when a developer develops any more up there, is that still, that would still be a need? And is that still in the books for funding, or what's the story on that?
Do you want to address that, Mr. Baker?
We're talking about the Ranchland, so the business park lift station is not designed to handle flow from the Ranchland Estates subdivision. And if the Ranchland Estates subdivision is indeed developed, a lift station will be required for it. And I understand it is included within the cost estimates for the construction of that subdivision. Or the cost estimates that I've seen included a lift station to service that property. I believe subsequent to that, a request had come in to us that the town consider funding the lift station, but that's not something that's really hit our radar at this point.
And I think, Councillor Glenn, I think what you may be remembering, at one time when we were looking at the putting in the lift station for the business park, we wondered at the time if it could be made large enough to be able to handle that area and then them bring it across the road. The problem was the road level, it's too low on the other side, and we weren't able to get the sewage from the other side of the road across because of the level of the road. So that didn't, that lift station that was put in on the business park was not sized to handle that for that particular reason. That may be what you're thinking about. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Glenn.
Yeah, it probably was. I just remember it being talked about at one time. So I guess, Jeff, you're saying then that it's not the town's responsibility, it's the town's responsibility to bring the water and sewer to the property line, which in this case, a subdivision, right? But it's not our responsibility to actually put the lift station in. It would be the developer. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah. And
Go ahead.
once that water and sewer is commissioned, it'll be turned over to us. We'd then take operational responsibility for the lift station, the water and sewer piping.
All right, any other questions, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the development permit summary report as presented. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. And the next report is the Credit Union Center report. That report is before you. Any questions, Council, on the Credit Union Center report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Credit Union Center report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor McCrae. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next report is the Mayor's report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Mayor's report? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. Just reading your report there, of course, we're all aware you have it in here regarding the fire we had in the industrial park back a few weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I guess now. And you recognize the people involved there. I'm wondering if we have, or should we send out a letter from yourself on behalf of council thanking the Summerside and the London Fire Departments for their service, because I think as Chief of Fire Department here said, without their services it would have been very hard to contain. So I'm just wondering, maybe you've already send a letter.
I haven't sent a letter, but I have thanked them personally and thanked the mayor personally. The mayor a few days after, and the chief on that evening of the fire. So, did you want me to send something else? I know our fire department has thanked them, but I could always send another one out if you wish.
It's just my opinion that I think a letter would go a long ways to them, because it would probably get to maybe their meetings, their fire meetings, where a lot of firemen may not be aware of I'll have to thank you coming if it didn't come. Actually, it's just my thoughts, but I mean, it's certainly up to you guys.
Yeah. Mr. Baker, do you want to just make a note of that and bring that to my attention? All right, any other questions, council, or any comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the mayor's report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, second by Councillor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The Federation of Prince Edward Island Municipalities. Councillor Mann, do you have anything to report?
Oh, thank you, Worship. Yeah, we actually had a meeting.
Yeah, good.
It wasn't too much on the agenda, so we went through and approved our agenda for a meeting with Minister Lance, and was held the night before the shuffle.
See,
So,
now you start over again.
yeah, I was unable to attend because I had another meeting on the same night, but yeah, so it was probably, they paid the bill, so. We also approved our audited financial statements for the last fiscal. We appointed Sen to sit on the Building Standards Council. And John Dewey has announced his retirement. So no firm date. Right now it's maybe January-ish, February-ish. But
Maybe
nothing-
after the annual meeting-ish.
No, nothing set in stone. He hasn't made a final. It's just whenever he decides to pack it in, so.
Well, he's certainly given a lot over the last number of years. We certainly wish him well, and he'll be a tough man to replace, I suspect.
I think so.
All right. Is that it? That it then, Councillor Mann?
That should do it.
Any questions of Councillor Mann? Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question, but a couple of comments regarding John Dewey. Of course, John Dewey came on board when I was a member of the board my first time around, way back in late 1990s, I guess. So, I think he said he's there about 24 years, roughly. So around 1999, 2000. So he has been a real pillar with the Federation for a number of years. So, of course, and he will be a hard. It will be big shoes to fill, but hopefully they'll come up with someone as dedicated and as good as John. My other comment was regarding what Councillor Mann mentioned, the cabinet shuffle the following day after the Minister Lance had met with the Federation. And I spoke with Bruce McDougall the following morning, and we both kind of said the same thing at the same time. Just when we think we're moving forward on a couple of issues, then this is where the government gets you. They shuffle the cabinet and put a new minister in, and it's kind of like starting all over again. And I personally felt that Minister Lance, for the most part, was listening, and his deputy, and we were maybe making a little headway, but I'm not too sure how much headway we've made now. We're going to basically start over.
All right. Any other comments, Council? Hearing none, we'll move along to the Kensington Area Chamber of Commerce. Councillor McCrae, anything to report?
Thank you, Your Worship. Last week, we had our all-member meeting out at Ship to Shore, which the mayor had attended along with myself, and it went very well. Small Business Week is October 21st to the 25th.
Yeah.
And the gala is November the 28th at Clinton Carriage House. The Carriage House. So there's nominations and stuff going in for it now. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councillor McCrae. Any questions? Hearing none, Deputy Mayor Spencer, do you have anything from Heart of PEI? I don't think they've met, have they?
There's been no meeting since our last meeting.
Right. All right, thank you. Okay, hearing no other questions, then we'll move right along to new business. First item of new business is the Kensington Fire Department, the decision on what we're going to do with the antique, I guess we'll call it an antique pumper. We'll call it the 1960 LaFrance pumper. Is there any questions on the information that's presented in the request for a decision? Any clarification or any questions? Hearing none, there is a resolution. Oh, yes, Councillor Doucette.
Sorry, thanks, Your Worship. So are we currently paying for the storage of that vehicle right now? No.
No, we're not.
Okay. No, I'm just confirming. Thank you.
And so the plan right now is, as the motion says, is we're not going to make a decision on it, but Mr. Baker's hopefully going to get some information before, we'll say, the spring. And we may decide what we're going to do then, what might be required. I think one of the things going to have to be decided is how much work would have to be done to keep it operational, that we can keep it operational, and then where are we going to keep it? Where is it going to be stored? And et cetera, et cetera. But that would be further information. So right now, we're deferring decision, and that's what the motion is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions, council? Then who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Toombs, I think, got his hand up first. Go ahead.
I don't want to take it away.
Huh?
I don't want to take
There's
it away.
there's long ones coming, so he can get that one.
Oh,
He likes the long ones.
that's great. Whereas the 1960 LaFrance pumper truck, while no longer functional for firefighting purposes, holds significant historical value for the town of Kensington, representing an important piece of the town's heritage. And whereas the preservation of the truck was discussed at the September Committee of Council meeting, where it was agreed that the truck should be retained for future consideration. Be it resolved that the Town Council support the continued storage of the 1960 LaFrance pumper truck and request that the Chief Administrative Officer proceed with the development of a proposal for its preservation and display to be presented to Council for consideration at a future meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Gallant. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. Moving right along to request for decision number 36, which is the Town of Kensington's remuneration bylaw, and this is the first reading. Council, any questions or clarification needed on the information that's presented? And this is first reading, so the first resolution is to give first reading, and the second resolution is giving first reading. Councillor Mann, these are the long ones, and you always like those long ones. So would you like to read this one into the record? Resolution number 1?
Let me give it a whirl here. Whereas the Municipal Government Act, RSPEI 1988, CM-12.1 requires that remuneration and allowances paid to elected officials be done only by bylaw. And whereas the Town of Kensington is committed to ensuring fair and transparent compensation for its elected officials. And whereas Town Council appointed a Remuneration and Allowances Commission to conduct a comprehensive review of current remuneration levels and to draft a report with recommendations. And whereas the Remuneration Allowances Commission has submitted its report to Council, including recommendations for updating the compensation structure for the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councillors. Whereas the Council has carefully considered the findings and recommendations of the Remuneration and Allowances Commission and feel it is deemed necessary and in the best interest of the town to adopt a new council remuneration bylaw in accordance with the recommendations. Be it resolved that the Town of Kensington Council Community Remuneration Bylaw number 2024-01, be hereby read a first time.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Glant. Any discussion, council? All those in favor, vote for the, all those in favor. All those opposed. 4 in favor, 2 opposed. Councillor Toombs and Councillor Mann opposed. Councillor Mann, would you like to read into the record the resolution number 2, please?
Oh, thank you, Worship. Whereas the Municipal Government Act, RSPEI 1988, CM-1.2, requires that remuneration allowances paid to elected officials be done only by bylaw. And whereas the Town of Kensington is committed to ensuring fair and transparent compensation for its elected officials. And whereas Town Council appointed a Remuneration and Allowances Commission to conduct a comprehensive review of current remuneration levels and to draft a report with recommendations. And whereas the Remuneration Allowances Commission has submitted its report to Council, including recommendations for updating compensation pack structure for the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councillors. Whereas the Council has carefully considered the findings and recommendations of the Remuneration Allowances Commission and feel it is deemed necessary and the best interest of the town to adopt the new council remuneration bylaw in accordance with their recommendations. And whereas the Town of Kensington The Town of Kensington Council Remuneration Bylaw, bylaw number 2024-01, was read a first time at this meeting. Be it resolved that the Town of Kensington Council Remuneration Bylaw, bylaw number 2021-01, be hereby approved.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Glant. Any discussion, Council? All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect that 4 in favor, and Councillor Mann and Councillor Toom opposed. Thank you, Council. We'll move right along to request for decision number 37, which is a request for a donation by the Kensington Vipers. That information is before you. Are there any questions, Council, on the information that's before you? This was discussed at Committee of Council some. This is for hosting the Don Johnson Cup. Councillor Mann.
I guess I'm still lit up.
Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah.
I just was thinking about this since the last time, and like say, all we're really doing is giving back their gate. So I don't know if that's what we're only intention of doing it, but in the previous time when these were held, we gave out 10 Gs. So I was almost thinking, should we be doing 2,500 to each team? I'm not. That's just throwing it out there, but all we're really doing is we might as well just tell them to keep their gate fee, as opposed to taking it and giving it back to them. So.
Well, actually, it's two different things.
Yeah.
The gate fee is to the Credit Union Center revenue. The donation comes from Town of Kensington's donation policy. So that runs as a totally separate thing. So they're not. We try to keep them separate. So this is actually not going to be an expense to the Credit Union Center. It's an expense to the Town of Kensington. Yeah. Councillor Toombs? No, pardon me, Councillor Glant.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to make a comment, and you might have heard us discussing it briefly before there, just in discussion. There is a possibility, but it's not confirmed yet, that the Junior B Vipers may not be, I guess it's safe to say that, may not be able to host the Don Johnson Cup due to the fact that there is a rule apparently that has to be ruled on yet, that you have to have 2 teams in order to host. You have to have a host team plus a provincial champion. Now that's just in discussion. I know from being involved in the past number of years ago that is the case, that you have to have 2 teams, but I think they're trying to overlook that for this time and let them host. That's just kind of information I'd heard, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I'd like to just recommend that this goes through, that if they don't host, then obviously this wouldn't be part of their funding. If they don't, if they don't host.
Yeah,
it.
this is a donation to the Kensington Vipers if they're hosting the Don Johnson Cup,
yeah.
right? So you're saying there's a possibility they may not be hosting.
There is that possibility. Councillor Doucette might be able to. I think he might have spoke with someone on it, and I think they're still hoping to. But there is that rule, I think, that they gotta look into, where you have to have 2 teams.
Councillor Doucette, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so as Councillor Glant mentioned, that very well could be the case. I know, I think they're going to be meeting over that probably in the next couple of days just to confirm. But again, I think that is the ruling, that there's supposed to be both a host team and a team to represent the province, and in which case, with Sherwood folding their club there in Charlottetown, so they're now down just to the 1 team, so we'll know more probably in the next little bit. But I do agree with Councillor Glant. Maybe we should have something maybe in writing, in the fact that if it doesn't go ahead, that we don't need to make that donation.
Well, yeah. If they're not hosting it in Kensington, then we wouldn't be making a donation. Obviously, that's the request. So, yeah, I'm just looking at the resolution. We resolve Town Council approve a donation to the Kensington Vipers to assist in the cost of hosting the Don Johnson Cup. So if they're not hosting the Don Johnson Cup, then there's no donation. So I think that that resolution should cover us from that point of view. So you're saying that the Sherwood team may be folding, is that, or has folded?
Has folded, so they are down to just the 1 team in the Junior B League right now.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other clarification, Council? Then do we want to, I guess we can make a decision on this if it does go ahead. So does somebody want to read into the record that resolution? Councillor Glant?
Be it resolved that Town Council approved a donation of $1,000 to the Kensington Vipers to assist with the cost of hosting the Don Johnson Cup in April of 2025. I don't know if you want to add, providing it, they are the host team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way it's worded, if they're not hosting, then obviously that should be safe to cover it. Were you seconding, Councillor Toombs? All right, any other discussion, Council? Councillor Glant?
Just had one other question on it, and I think I might have read it in the Credit Union Center report, but is that not until the end of April? Is that what the date was, like towards the end of April? Really?
I think it's in the Credit Union Center report, the dates when that was supposed to be. I believe it was somewhere on the 20th, maybe?
22nd to the 27th.
22nd to the 27th. All right, any other questions, Council? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Sorry. All right, moving right along to request for decision number 38, which is the Town of Kensington street lighting policy. That information is before you, Council. I do have one question that I just picked up. I'm sorry, Mr. Baker, I meant to talk to you about this before we came to this meeting, and I didn't get it until tonight. I'm just looking at 4.5. I'm wondering if it says the town will not install street lighting on private roads. And I can hear somebody coming in, well, it's not a road, it's a lane. So I wonder if that should be saying on private property or something like that, rather than roads. Because I can hear people coming in, well, it says roads, it doesn't say lanes, so this is a lane, this is a street, or whatever. And somebody trying to use that I've seen that happen in the past in situations, not necessarily here, but on private, if it said private property versus private roads, would you agree that that's fair enough to change that word? Yeah. Does council agree with that? That way it's clear that it's not a road. Yes, because we haven't coming up with going to have a court. So now I can see somebody, well, wait, it's not a road, it's a court, not a road, so now all of a sudden this doesn't apply.
So having said that, private property would cover whether it's a private street, private road, or private parking lot.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so I would suggest that when we make the resolution, we're looking at that being private property versus private road. Did council have any other questions or concerns with what was there? Sorry, Mr. Baker, I did mean to get a hold of you before today and discuss that, but it slipped by. No other questions? Then who would like to read into the record the resolution? Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Should I add in the one amendment when I read it in?
Mr. Baker, does that have to be as amended? Say as amended? Okay.
No, I'll read it in with an amendment. To 4.5.
Instead of as presented, say as amended?
But include the amendment to remove to delete the word roads from section 4.5 and to replace with property.
Okay. Good. Go for it.
Whereas the town of Kensington is committed to ensuring the safety and well-being of its residents, businesses, and visitors through the provision of adequate and effective street lighting, be it resolved, the Town Council approve and adopt the Town of Kensington Street Light Policy, Policy Number 01-1105-24, with the amendment of deleting the word roads from 4.5 and including the word property.
All right. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? A seconder by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion, Council? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Moving right along to request for decision number 39, which is the Town of Kensington's action plan to prevent gender-based violence. That information is before you, Council. Any questions? Second here now. Then, if not, who wants to read into the record the resolution that is before us there? Councilor, Deputy Mayor Spencer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas gender-based violence remains a critical issue affecting the safety, health, and well-being of individuals in the town of Kensington and other communities across Prince Edward Island, and whereas the PEI Advisory Council on the Status of Women has developed a comprehensive community action plan to prevent gender-based violence in consultation with the community, which outlines strategies to address and prevent gender-based violence in our community. Be it resolved that the Community Action Plan to prevent gender-based violence, as drafted by the PEI Advisory Council on the Status of Women, be hereby approved and adopted.
Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Doucette. Any discussion, council? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, moving right along to request for decision number 40, which is the laneway naming for M&S Rentals. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed? Councillor Glant.
I guess my only question is, I'm just wondering, Greta Court, what was the reason behind that? I'm not against it, I'm just curious as to how they come up with that name, or is there a reason they come up with it, or do you know?
I'm not, they selected, they presented two names. Mr. Baker, do you want to comment? Who has?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We asked them to submit two names. They submitted those two names. We ran those two names through 911. 911 confirmed that either name would be fine to use. We felt that Clover was a little bit too close to Glover, so that's why we went ahead and recommended Greta, but I have no idea what the significance of the name Greta is to the developers.
All right, any other? Councillor Glant?
That's for up in Sunset, right, off Sunset?
Yeah, that's the new development off Sunset.
Yeah, okay, I guess I could probably find that out, but I just curious if they give a reason why.
All right, if there's no questions, anybody want to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Toombs, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve Greta Court as the official name of the private laneway into the M&S Rentals Incorporated development off Sunset Drive, PID number 1050095.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor McCrae. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along to request for decision number 41, which is the Canada Community Building Fund Gas Tax Capital Investment Plan. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. I know I likely asked this at the committee of council meeting. I couldn't remember when I was making my notes, but I just wanted to confirm, if approved, are these projects set in stone, or do we have the option to discuss these at a later time?
These are not set in stone.
Yeah,
These
okay,
are
right, that's
the
right.
plan.
Yeah.
Are you ready to answer that? Saying the same thing as me?
Yeah,
As long as you're saying the same thing as me.
yeah,
No, this is a preliminary plan. As you can recall, there's different times in the past when we've had to go to the Secretariat to reprofile what we call the gas tax, but it's the Canada Community Building Fund,
Yeah.
and it's called reprofiling. So if there's a change, then
Yes.
Mr. Baker would have to go through and do a reprofiling, but we do have to submit a plan to start with, and that can always be changed and will be changed. Sometimes it's changed because the project has not cost as much or has cost more, and if it's cost more, then you have to take money from somewhere else.
reallocate,
So
okay.
that's where what Mr. Baker calls a reprofiling of the investment plan.
yes.
Do you have anything to add further to that, Mr. Baker?
I do recall that being the same answer too, so no, that's great. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, council? Who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Doucette? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council adopt the capital investment plan for their 2024 to 2029 direct allocation under the Canada Community Building Fund to include the town hall solar panel project, the playground equipment project, the Broadway Street South sidewalk replacement, pole relocate project, the baffle installation at the wastewater treatment plant, the freight shed upgrades project, the speed radar signs replacement project, and the wastewater system inflow and infiltration project. Town Council understands that they are responsible for all future operations and maintenance costs associated with the projects.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion, council? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, council. We'll move right along to request for decision number 42, which is the donation or sponsorship to the BGC Prince County. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification? Wait, I got to find it here now. There it is, yeah. Any questions or clarification needed on the information that's before you? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor McRae?
Thank you, Your Worship. Be resolved that Town Council provide a one-time sponsorship in the amount of $5,000 to the BGC Prince County in 2025, conditional upon the establishment of a BGC Prince County facility in the town of Kensington.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Second by Deputy Mayor Spencer. Any discussion, council? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next is request for decision number 43, which is the Meals on Wheels annual donation. You will notice as well, council, that this request for decision, and I'm trying to find it, and I think I must have forgot to open it or closed it by mistake. This request for decision is to cover 3 years. We have traditionally, up until 2019, made a donation of $1,200. In 2019, we increased that to $2,000, and we've been giving $2,000 since then. And so the request for decision is to cover for the period of the next 3 years. And so that's $2,000 a year for the next 3 years. Now, does council have any questions? And do you want to stay with the same thing, or do you want to change it? Do you want to go annually and review it annually, or just this will give town staff the authorization to just automatically do it for the next 3 years, this year and 2 more? Any discussion? Councillor or Deputy Mayor Spencer?
I wondered if we wanted to even up it to 5 years, just to have some more consistency in budgeting for us and for the Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. Any comments, council? What's your thoughts? All right. Well, do we want to make it 5 years then? All right. So who wants to read into the record the resolution? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move that Kensington Town Council provide a financial contribution to the Kensington Meals on Wheels organization in the amount of $2,000 per year for 5 years, starting in 2024 and ending in 2028.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Glant.
Thank you. Now that I can talk again, I just wanted to get back. I do have an opinion on that, and I certainly agree with with supporting the organization. But should we go beyond this like 3 years would take it to the end of this council's term, right? And let the next council decide on whether we go further. Is that? I'm just chucking that out there. I'm not sure that's.
Well, we got lots of things that go beyond. We've got 10-year agreements with the Prince County Hospital and 5-year agreements or 10-year agreements with the IWK. So I don't think that's a major concern. We've done it in the past, and I think it's worthy. So unless council has a concern with that, how does the rest of the council feel about that? I mean, let's face it. If future council decided they wanted to overrule this, they could overrule it. So they could always change it. So it's, even though we're making a recommendation and making a motion, if future council decides they want to say, no, we don't want to do that anymore, we want to stop it, then they have the authority to stop it in the future. So it's a planned commitment, but future councils can change that commitment. Governments can change, as we know. Any other discussion? Because what we've committed, what this motion is, Councillor Glant, when you were out of the room, was to go to 5 years instead of 3 years? Yeah. Okay.
I just chucked it out there. I wasn't sure if that's.
Yeah.
You're right. We have in the past.
Yeah. If there's no other questions, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Okay, the next one is the request for decision number 44, which is as everybody is aware, from the fire, there was a need for the fire, when the fire happened, that there was a need for a ladder truck, which is, we're going to send a thank you letter to the Summerside Fire Department. But one of the things that, in discussions with the town, with the fire chief, prior to that, they were already looking for a aerial ladder truck, and they had one that they were ready to go and look at, and they actually went about 2 or 3 days following the fire over here at the Valley Trust. Anyway, they've been over to look at it. Fire Chief Hickey's gone. They've took the ladder operator from Summerside to go with them because he's familiar with the trucks and knows about it, and they took Alan Sudsbury, a mechanic, and they've taken a look at it, and their recommendation, as you can read from Fire Chief Hickey's letter, they feel that it's well worth. I know the price tag on the new ones around, the one in Summerside would be $3.4 million. Some of it's based on the size of the length of the ladder that you get. Anyway, that's certainly well beyond our reach, and our only possibility is to go for something that's used. And the fire chief is recommending that we put a bid in on this one, and with the hopes we get it. There are other people interested in it, and the recommendation that's before council tonight is to authorize the fire chief and the CAO to submit a bid to the Amherst Fire Department for the purchase of this unit up to $75,000, that was kind of what their asking price was for it. So that's kind of some update. Any questions, council? Councillor Toombs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say, right away, I'm not against this, but there was something that I read, like for money-wise, I guess, it's not going to strap our fire department cash flow, for the next while. Like, are we okay that way? Like, we're good? Because you'd hate to. I know it's something we need, and I'm all for it, but you don't. As long as we're not strapped for cash for them for other things that they require too.
This would be a capital project or a capital item, and it would be financed. We'd obviously borrow the money and have to be paid back. The fire department, all these things are paid for in the fire dues. If there was such a thing that we had to increase fire dues to cover these things, that's something that's taken a look at around every November, to make a proposal to the different districts. And if there was felt there was going to be a requirement needed, then that would have to be incorporated into it then. But it's kind of a user pay system. Yeah. And at this stage of the game, we don't foresee that's going to be, it's not significant enough. If you're talking $1 million, well, yeah, it would, but $75,000 is probably not going to be significant enough to make a difference in that. But as you are all aware, we don't really know where we stand financially this year or even last year. So we're kind of going blind to a certain degree, but we have a confidence level that we should be okay on that. And if such that we have to increase rates to cover it, then that'll be something we'll have to do. But from a safety point of view, as the chief has pointed out, with the influx of solar panels, the influx of steel roofs, and just even this recent fire, the need is becoming more and more there. And plus the construction of a 3-story unit in town now, the need is becoming more and more prevalent. And as he said, we may only use the truck once a year, but that once a year may be just the time that you need it. And turns out we could have used it over here and it would have solved the problem. Anyway, so that's just kind of the basic. I'd answer your question. Yeah. Councillor Mann, I think you had your hand up.
No, thank you, Your Worship. I'm just more concerned with the price. Is $75,000 enough? If I had the letter said there's 5 bids, and you had 4 bids of $75,000, who are you going to choose? I'm thinking, should we be offering 80? Just a thought. So.
Well,
because 75 is the asking price. It's kind of like buying a house, sometimes you got to go a little bit over market to get what you want. Depends how bad we want it. So,
if council wants to authorize them to bid over and above that, if they find it necessary, then you can just change the resolution. You can authorize them to, right now, tonight, what you're authorizing them to go and bid and try and get it. And it's, right now, it's topped out at 75,000. If you want to give them more freedom than that, then just give them more freedom to that, and then when they'll come back, when we actually have to make a decision to purchase and borrow the money, we'll have to make a final decision. Council will still have to make the final decision on it, but once they bid, if the bid is accepted, then it's kind of, council's going to have to say yes to it. So we're authorizing them to bid in good faith. Did you have anything further than Councillor Mann?
Yeah, no, that was the thing, but the trouble is you almost got to have that up front. Your bid's got to be your bid, because they're not going to give you a second chance. So.
Deputy Mayor Spencer?
That was exactly my thought when I read this last week, too. So I'm curious, is it sealed bids or is it an auction?
It's very loose right now. There's not a time frame, as I understand from talking with Fire Chief. There's not a deadline on it, and I think they are wanting to make sure it goes to a volunteer fire department. They haven't put it up as a tender kind of thing. I think they're taking offers, and it's very loose. So it's not normally the way we would have done it here, but that appears to be the way it seems to be working right now. That's why I would suggest that some of this stuff is evolving fairly quick, and that's why I think what we need to do is give Mr. Baker and the fire chief authority to go and do what they think is the right decision to make. It appears that the truck is in, well, the words that was used was mint condition underneath, so that bodes well.
Yeah, because the letter mentioned there have been 5 bids already.
Yeah.
2 of them were disregarded because they were for privately owned companies. So there are 3 left. We'll be bidding against those other 3. If it was a sealed bid, I was going to say we should, do the Price is Right type thing and say 81,501 or something like that to top out over someone else saying let's go 5,000 over or let's go 1,000 over. If it's more of an auction, then I'd be willing to even consider higher than that,
Just one
knowing
thing-
that that's in our back pocket.
One thing I would caution you on, if you remember, this is public tonight, so don't tell how much money you got in the pot when you're trying to go and negotiate. If you want to give the CAO and the fire chief flexibility to bid to up to a different amount, then they can be anything below that. So I don't suggest that we try to make the bid here. That's why I'm suggesting that you authorize them to go and make the bid, whatever. When they get into making their bid, they will know how they're going to make a bid on. They'll know what they're dealing with. So that's why, and Mr. Baker's got something to say.
No, I was going to suggest that we pass the resolution, but just leave off the last part of the resolution that says with the bid not to exceed, and just leave it open for us.
Is everybody okay with
And we'll
that?
just act accordingly.
All right, is everybody comfortable with that? Okay. Then who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Glant.
Thank you. Be it resolved, the town council authorizes CAO Jeff Baker and Fire Chief Rodney Hickey to submit a bid to the Amherst Fire Department for the purchase of the 1995, not sure what that is, Stuplin, is it? Aerial ladder truck with the bid not to exceed.
No, just stop after truck. We're not gonna put a bid amount on it. We're gonna give them the flexibility to bid.
Okay.
All right.
Aerial ladder truck.
Do we have a second by Councillor Toombs? All right, so we're all clear on that we're authorizing them to make a bid on the purchase of the 1995 aerial ladder truck, period. And they can figure out what that amount's going to be. All clear? All those in favor? Motion carried. Councillor Glant, you have your hand up? Okay, all unanimous. Thank you, Council. Okay. Other matters, a few things that I had. Anybody else planning to attend? Councillor Mann and Deputy Mayor Spencer is planning to attend the Federation meeting on Saturday. Anybody else? Okay. You are?
I won't know until maybe tomorrow evening, so that's the earliest I
Okay.
can.
if you want to let me know, then I can send in your registration.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I actually mentioned to Julie the other day and that I wouldn't know till late, and she kind of indicated that that was fine, that I
Yeah.
could just let her know, or let her know later
Okay.
on. I wouldn't know at least until tomorrow evening, for sure.
The other thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, which you've already seen, is I'll make it public now when we have a public viewing as well. Congratulations to Mr. Baker, our CAO, on being awarded the 2024 Lieutenant Governor's Award of Excellence in Public Administration, and he is going to be receiving that award in the Lieutenant Governor's mansion or house on October the 29th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I believe. So congratulations, Mr. Baker, and I know you will enjoy it. The other thing I had is, as Councilor McCray mentioned, Small Business Week is October the 21st to the 25th. And congratulations to the Credit Union Center on winning. As you will recall, the Credit Union Center put in an application or a bid, or the Rural Beautification Society of Prince Edward Island for the Community Building Improvement Award, and I'm pleased to tell you that they won. I'm not sure if they got first, second, or third. They won't know that until the night of the awards. So I just thought I'd let you know that. And also, October is Learning Disability and Dyslexia Month, and we are going to raise the flag and fly the flag for Learning Disability and Dyslexia Month for the month of October, for the rest of October. We're going to do that on Monday at noon over at the Willow Bakery, and if anybody wants to join us there while we raise that flag, there's going to be representatives from Learning Disability and Dyslexia Month in attendance. So that's at noon on October the 21st. Okay? That, I believe, is all I had. Did anybody else have any other matters? Councillor Mann.
Well, thank you, Worship. I kind of forgot I was going to mention to you in the community gardens, the Credit Union Center update. Just wondering about the solar panels. Like, since we don't see financial stuff, I guess, did we have enough built up to cover that crazy startup cost in September? Enough credits built up?
The one thing that we're finding is that for some reason, the invoices that come in from Maritime Electric do not tell us how much. And we don't know the answer to that question. We do see when for the wind turbine, we see the credits build up. We don't know if there's anything built up or not. But I think what's happening, from looking at the app that they have, I think we're using everything that is being generated right now. It just means that we're not building credits. We're using everything from the way the consumption has been going. We're using everything that we're generating and then some. So yeah. So we're not really building credits, and maybe that's why there's nothing showing on the report to show how much we're generating, because we're using everything that we are generating.
Yeah, I figured once it was commissioned in, what was it, August or was it July?
It was
I think we'd have a couple months
June or
before they
July.
flipped the switch, so I didn't know if we build enough to cover some of that. It's 10 Gs as soon as you turn on the ice plant, so.
Yeah. In August, looking at the previous year, it looked like the consumption was lower, but in September, unfortunately, it was higher because we had more ice. We put in ice this year, whereas last year we didn't. So it was kind of hard to compare, but it looked like we were using everything that has been generating. And there is an app that they have that shows how much it is generating, and it is generating electricity, so. All right. Any other questions? Councillor Doucette?
Thanks, Your Worship. Just to add to Councillor Mann's talk about the panels, I know I brought this up probably a couple months ago now regarding kind of the eaves trough on that side of the facility. At each kind of seam on the eave, there is kind of a leak, and it's staining the panels coming down the side of the building. And I actually had to go to the rink this evening on my way here, and I noticed it's still dripping. And again, that stain's getting a bit worse. And I know how sensitive those things are. So I mean, that should be something we could look at. And also, the seagulls. I know it's hard to do much about. It's just one of those things. But I mean, that's the other thing I noticed on the ground mount panels is how much like bird droppings are covering those panels, right? And, you know, if they're covered up, they're not, you know, using to their full potential. So I don't know what we can do, but look into some sort of idea there to.
Yeah, we've discussed this, how do we get the seagulls out of there, and nobody's come up with an answer
No,
that works
exactly.
yet. But I thought that eaves trough they had to get, with the solar panels there, they had to get a lift to be able to do it. I thought that was perhaps done, but I guess obviously it's still not done yet. I thought they were going to do it. Anyway, do you know any, Mr. Baker?
I don't know. The last discussion
that?
we had, which I think you were present for, was that Robert was waiting on a lift or a bucket truck to come in to allow him to get up there to be able to do that safely.
Okay.
And the last we had spoke to Graham, which again was just before I went on vacation, in regards to the seagulls and the mess that's on the solar panels, was Graham was trying to seek out a way to be able to clean the stuff off the solar panels. So I don't know if he figured a way through that at this point or not.
The rain
did,
helped
oh,
some,
sorry.
but didn't do a full job.
Yeah, exactly. I actually took some time to look into it myself, and maybe I'll just send an email, just an idea anyway. It's some sort of brush with. You
That'd
could
be
hook up to
appreciated,
a
yeah.
pressure washer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other matters? Hearing none.
Sorry,
Oh,
I do
okay.
have a few others. I was
Okay,
waiting to see.
sorry.
I didn't want to hog it.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
There was a couple other things here I just wanted to go through. Sorry, one second, I'm lost in my notes here. Oh, in regards to the project on Broadway with the removal of the telephone poles there. I was out for a walk myself, it was a week ago, I guess I noticed it on Garden Drive, and I know those ones, I don't know, the lean just seems to be getting worse and worse towards some of the homes on that street as well. And I was wondering if maybe we could look into pushing that into that project as well. I know it could add a lot to it, but it is included? Okay.
Yeah, so included in the pole relocation, there's a couple on School Street as well that need to
Okay.
get pushed
I
in.
wasn't sure if it was just.
And there was two, I don't know if you want to give me the specific area after that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Doug did bring to me at least two poles on Garden Drive to be included as well, and then the ones along Broadway Street.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. And the other thing was, I had a local contractor. He contacted me last week, and he knows me personally too. So he had wanted to reach out. He had done some work for the town, and one of the bills might have been missed. It could have been an honest mistake, but I just wanted to let you know, and I'll send you an email maybe along with that as well. But in saying that too, when he brought that up, I was just wondering, and I know things are getting cleaned up and everything with our new staff member, and I know you guys said things are still looking pretty good. But do we have an idea of when we might start seeing some of the bills listed, the financial statements type thing?
You can answer that one.
Well, it is a difficult one to
Yeah, for
answer
sure.
at that point. Certainly send along the details on the invoice. We don't like when that happens, but unfortunately it does happen from time to time.
Absolutely.
I would anticipate the next set of financial statements that we will see will be at the end of this calendar year, and they will be the audited financial statements for our 23-24 fiscal year. I'm hopeful that once that is completed, and that is really the big cleanup, is the 23-24 fiscal year. From that point, we're essentially pulling together our Nancy's own work at that point, and not just Nancy's, all staff's work at that point. I would anticipate we're not going to see monthly financial statements until at least January. I wish I could say sooner than that, but to be blunt about it, it's worse than what Nancy had thought.
Okay.
mess. And right now she's, not to say it's all bad, there's a lot of things that have been cleaned up and are ready to go to audit at this point. Our payroll being one. We're slowly making our way through the capital asset schedules. So those are coming along right now. I know she is into bank reconciliations, and the accounts need to be reconciled for the general, the water and sewer, and the credit union center. And so there's a lot of things in there that she's having to go back and kind of pull the puzzle pieces together and to get them reconciled. But she's working her way through it quite diligently. Yeah, so we're hopeful. We did get an extension to submit our audited financials to December 31st, 2024. So that's kind of our deadline that we're working with at this point. Again, I wish it was sooner. I really do, yeah, because I do recognize, and the mayor said it earlier, that we are flying a little bit blind here. We have a reasonable degree of comfort. But we have certainly put a clamp on our expenditures, and obviously we didn't do a whole lot of capital spending this year, and that's all around the effort to try and keep things under control in the absence of having good information to make decisions on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Councillor Glant.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Councillor. Good point. Thanks for the information you're able to
Your mic's off there, Councillor.
Thank you. Is that better? You going there now?
You're on now.
I agree with Councillor Doucette, and it's, I'm glad he brought it up. It's a good point, and thanks for the information you were able to give us. I think, you know, as councillors, we're all a little bit concerned, and we should be, because at the end of the day, it's, I guess, we want everything to turn out in a positive manner. So I just thank you for the update. And my only other comment, and maybe it's way out in left field, but would it ever be worthwhile having her in to address us in a in-camera session, just to give us a little insight on it, or would that, or have you pretty well covered everything she would ever be able to cover?
Mr. Baker?
Yeah, I mean, that's really up to you guys at the end of the day. If you wanted a kind of that in detail technical explanation as to what exactly the issues are, I'm sure she'd be more than glad to come in and do that. Again, that will be up to you guys at the end of the day. We're doing our very best to kind of just leave her be, and she is doing the majority of her work at home at this point. I could certainly have the discussion with her, yeah. But again, within 2 council meetings, we should be in a position that we're actually looking at draft audited financial statements.
Councillor Doucette?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank Jeff also for the update, and yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea myself, but I guess it's up to the rest of the councillors too. I don't know what everybody else thinks on that, but that was a pretty good explanation for sure, Jeff. Appreciate it.
One thing that, you know, that I know that she is dealing with, a lot of the stuff is, it gets complicated, and it may not be as meaningful to you as, you probably get more meaning out of what Mr. Baker has presented than when she gets into the nitty-gritty of the things, because it gets way over my head sometimes, and I'm more familiar with it than probably some of you folks are. So sometimes it's, you know, I think what we're hearing is we're kind of running blind. I think staff are trying to do the best to try and make sure that we're not spending unwisely and trying to keep control on things. But I think they are fairly confident that we're in pretty good shape. And when we get the year-end statement done, Mr. Baker is fairly confident that we're not going to have any big surprises. And I think when we get your fairly, don't roll your eyes at that, I was scared.
Well, I'm praying.
Yeah, yeah,
I wasn't around.
yeah. And I was gonna say, did I misread something? And then when we get caught up, I know staff, I know Kim and Amy are doing a lot of the, keeping the stuff processed on a regular monthly basis now, and hopefully once we get the last year done, they get rolled over and things move forward, we'll hopefully get something faster. But it's been a struggle. And, you know, if you want to have her come in and present something, my question would be to you, what do you want her to present? Do you want her to present what we've already said, that we've had issues, we found this, and some of it is changing the way we do things, because the way, let's face it, the way she would do it and the way somebody else would do it are totally two different things. But not only that, she's had to go back and fix stuff and find stuff and interpret stuff and then put together the plan going forward. So going forward, we should be okay. And she's going to try to have a plan in place. And I guess we'd all love to see that. I haven't seen it. I'm confident from what Mr. Baker is saying and from what Nancy's saying as well, that is going to happen. And I guess I'm hopeful that exactly is what's going to take place, and I have no reason to believe otherwise at this stage from everything I've seen. But if you wanted to come in and present something, my question would be, what do you want her to present? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. No, and I just chucked it out there, and as I said, it's nice to have somewhat of an update from yourself and Jeff to give us a little update on it as to where it's at, and as you said, you're confident in what's taken place, and that's fine. I just chucked it out there thinking maybe she could explain some things to us that, you know, that you people weren't maybe even aware of. I don't know, maybe you are, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm confident in what you're saying here now, and I have no problem with leaving it, and hopefully within a couple of months here, by the end of the year, we'll be back on track and let it go. I just chucked it out there. I'm not saying we have to do it. I just thought, I was just putting that option out there. But you did give us a little bit better understanding of what's taking place there right now. Thanks.
I can say that the questions you're asking have also been asked by me asking Jeff and him asking Nancy as well. So it's not, the questions you're asking are not at a place. They're well within being asked. But I guess, can we wait a month and see? I mean, as Mr. Baker says, in 2 months' time, we might have a better idea where we stand, and that might be better value add for those hours being put into that, rather than trying to explain why we are where we are. So is everybody okay with that at this stage of the game? And there's a certain amount of act of faith that we're dealing with here, and we understand that. The one thing that we do watch closely is our bank account. If we still got money in the bank, that does help us, give us some sense of, even though there's been times when it's been high and low, but it may be getting low at times, but then we get money that's due to come in from when submitting progress payments and that for loans from the MCEG or et cetera.
So that's actually a really good point. In addition to trying to go back, and she's in some instances she is having to go back further than the previous fiscal year. She is at the same time trying to do the final ISIP claims, to do the municipal capital expenditure grant, the HST issues that we've encountered. So at the same time, she's trying to stick handle those at the same time. So some of it's been major, certainly, but again, slowly but surely, we're going to get back on track here. Nobody dislikes it more than me at this point, I can assure you. But as the mayor said, I have every faith in Nancy as well, that she is doing the right things as far as the finances and putting things back together for us.
So are we okay to just leave it as it is for now then? All right, thank you. Then if there's no other matters, Deputy Mayor Spencer?
I meant to ask earlier, the October 29th ceremony at Fanning Bank, is that open to anyone, or is that invitation only?
It's invitation, and I think Mr. Baker has to provide his list of invitations, right? And you probably know more about it than I do.
Well, I'm not sure I do, but I can bring up to 15 guests. At this point, I have my mom and my dad. I have my partner, and I have my 2 children. And I've asked the mayor to attend, and I've asked Kim to attend as well. I would love to have any of yous attend if you are interested in attending. I would absolutely love that. Yep. If anybody is interested in attending. I do have to let them know by the end of day tomorrow how many will be attending with me. Yeah. I don't think it'll be any more than a half hour to 45 minutes. There will be some light refreshments served. The Lieutenant Governor will say a few words. I believe the Canadian Director for IPAC will say a few words. Representative from IPAC PEI will say a few words as well. They have given me the option if I want to say a few words as well, but I don't know if I will or not at this. As you all know, I'm a man of few words.
No comment.
If anybody is interested in attending, let me know. I would love for any of you guys to be there.
How many
I
spaces
really
have you
would.
got left?
That would be 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I would have eight spaces left.
So let Mr. Baker know by noon tomorrow. Okay, Councillor Doucette.
I actually can attend on the 29th, but I just want to wish you all the best, and yeah, that's congrats again, and yeah, that's a fantastic award. Enjoy the ceremony.
Councillor Glant.
I wouldn't be, I can't attend on that day as well. As Councillor Doucette said, it's good to see you getting the award, and wish you all the best. And it is good that you'll have your family there, and at least obviously the mayor is planning on attending, and some staff, so that would certainly represent the town as well. So anyway, all the best, and good to see one of our own getting recognized.
All right, we'll leave it at that then. Moving right along to correspondence. The first item of correspondence is a thank you from the Artisans Co-op. They had a good year, and they thanked us for providing the building. They had another successful year, and I know the rental amount that we got from them was well over $4,000, so they had a good year. We get a portion of their sales. The next item is an email requesting the town consider becoming part of Operation White Hart PEI, and the vision is to try to make people aware of, draw awareness to mental health. And I know there's something that is just, Charlottetown, has just done something. I think they put something. And what I was thinking that what we might like to do is, Mr. Baker and I were talking about today, is maybe on the grassed area coming into town from Summerside in the spring, maybe we put a big white heart there with, grass around, or maybe even red mulch or something like that around. Have the grassed area, have a big one, big white heart as you're coming into town between the Sunset Drive and Frosty Treat. And then we might want to do something else over and above that. We promote white hearts all around the town. But that could be one of the spots that we consider, and it becomes the first thing that people are going to see. People are going to recognize eventually that Operation White Heart is about awareness of mental health. Any comments, Council? Councillor Glant.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we should do something, and I didn't know if it was, after reading it, whether it was something they wanted like right away, or is it just like the spring would be early? No, I guess it's ongoing thing, is it? Or
Yeah, it would, basically, I think what we need is from council to say, yes, we do want to support this, and we do want to move forward, and anytime we can get White Harts somewhere around town, that we move forward in that direction. And I would suggest that we try to get at least identify one, which is why I've kind of picked that area as it's an area that everybody's going to see. There may be other areas as well. And you can also, it doesn't have to be necessarily flowers or anything like that, or stones. It could be, you can cut something. And I think they mentioned 3 foot white heart, you know, cut out of wood and put on your property or something. I don't know. That we try to promote it and help, I guess, bring awareness to the issue. Councillor Glant?
Yes, I'll support us doing something, and just make one other suggestion, maybe out here in front, on the corner in front of the town hall might be
Yeah.
a good spot to put one as well.
Yeah, good point. Yes. So those are 2 spots. And I think what we'd do is plan on doing those well, we could potentially, it's not flowers, so they could be done anytime, I guess. So can we leave that with Public Works and or Mr. Baker? Is everybody in agreement that we try to look at it, and this maybe we want to get one done this fall, and maybe none, but try to get something done this fall or at the latest in the spring, 1 or 2 spots. And if anybody has any other ideas on how to get other people involved, by all means, I'm sure we'd all support it. Any other comments, Council? Councillor Mann?
Yeah, and I was just going to agree with Councillor Glanton, because I was kind of thinking right around here, because people going to the drive-throughs and stuff like that would always see it. I don't know if it would conflict, you know, with our Christmas tree of hope or whatever goes there, but
think
we
it
could
can-
somehow maybe incorporate it all into the same area,
I
same
think
thing,
if
so,
it's out close enough to the sidewalk, it'd probably be okay.
yeah. so.
That's a good area, I think, that's a good area to start, I think, right away. And then in the spring, maybe try to put one out coming into town. All right? Okay, we'll move forward on that, Mr. Baker. Thank you. The next item is a letter from Pat Kelly, who is resigning as our EOC, Emergency Operations Coordinator. And so I guess what I'm going to suggest that we do is I'm going to prepare a certificate of appreciation to him. I've already acknowledged the receipt of the letter and thanked him, but I said I'd be bringing it to council. And I'm going to send a certificate of appreciation along with his honorarium, which is $1,000 a year. And then we'll, at this stage of the game, when he's not, it falls on our deputy EOC, which is Mr. Baker. So until we appoint somebody else, so if anybody's got any ideas of who might be willing to take on this role, by all means, let Mr. Baker or myself know, because this person actually works for council. They work for council. So if you got any suggestions who might be a good emergency operations coordinator, let us know, and we can deal with it in the future. In the meantime, it falls on Mr. Baker. Councillor Glant?
So it is what is it, an annual honorarium
Yes.
per year?
Yeah.
Okay, and, all right, I do have someone in mind, but I wouldn't never put the name out there, but
Okay.
I'll mention it to Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, and the appointment of the person is by council. So when that appointment is made, council will actually making the appointment. That's correct, Mr. Baker? Yeah. So, yes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Does this person have to live in town? Because I have someone in mind, too.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily, as long as they're willing to take on the responsibility when the town has it.
Okay. Thank you. I have someone.
All right, so let Mr. Baker or myself know the names, and we can move forward from there, but eventually something will come back to council for an appointment because there'll have to be discussions with the person as well. Okay? Very good. The next is it's the annual report from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. They have sent that out, and we do not support the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We support the IWK, and we support the Prince County Hospital, and I think it's something that we might want to consider looking at, maybe some sort of, certainly not to the extent that we do for the Prince County Hospital, but the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is also an important part of health for our residents and for this area. And that may be something we want to take a look at, considering maybe, starting off with a commitment of so many dollars a year for a period of 5 years or 10 years. So I would suggest that council might want to consider, what's the feeling of council, that we want to take a look at something like that? Councillor Glant?
I think we should, but would we, at this time, just, it's not something they have to know right at the moment, is it, or not?
No, this is something that we, if council is interested in us doing something like this, then I think what we need to do is bring something before council with a proposal, with a request for a decision. And we wouldn't be doing it in this year's budget, we'd be putting it into next year's budget, so now's the time to think about it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Could we, I think it'd be a good idea. We'd leave it till the new year when, as we spoke about the finances earlier, and to see where things are and how things are going. And then we have a better idea to do it at that time.
All right, so we'll try to bring something forward in January kind of thing. And I'm not sure whether you're thinking of any certain, I know when we started Prince County Hospital, we started with them at $1,000 a year, I think it was, wasn't it? And then it jumped to $3,000 a year, and then it's $5,000 a year. So it may be one of those things, maybe $1,000 a year is a good starting point. I'll just throw that out as a thought. $1,000 a year for 10-year commitment? So is that something that, so Mr. Baker, can you kind of put that on your to-do list, and we bring that forward at some point in time, and with a starting point in 2025, 26 budget year? All right. All right, the next one is team building from Chamber of Commerce. They're looking for teams of 4 for Friday, October the 25th. And this is it's a race, but it's a walking race, I understand. Amazing race, team building event. And I don't know if anybody's got any interest in putting a team together. That it takes place from 3:30 or from 3 o'clock till 5:30. And it's going to start at Ruby's Counter, and I have no idea where it goes from there, but registration is required by October the 22nd. So if anybody wants to form a team, put a team together, please step up, take on the responsibility, and let's get somebody in it. How about that? I just leave it at that. Yes, go ahead.
I would love to, because I've been in the amazing race for the Children's Wish Foundation, and actually my team won.
Oh.
Just saying that. But it is a lot of fun. I'm unfortunately not going to be here. I'm going to be off island. And but if somebody would, try and get a team together, it is a lot of fun.
All right, if anybody wants to take that on, please step up. The next item is, of course, that we did not, unfortunately, win the town award. We didn't get enough votes. I'm not sure who won it yet. I will find out on the 29th. But until then, I don't know. The next item is the library are having a celebration of a 90th anniversary celebration. I will prepare a certificate of celebration for them. And just to let you know that on November the 21st, from 5:30 to 6:30, you're all invited to the library, and I think you all received a copy of that. And the next one is information from this went out to all of you by mail. I realized after I put it in the correspondence that you all received it in the mail already. And Mr. Hughes was already in and made a presentation to Mr. Baker and myself. And this is not something that, this is not free. Number one, this costs money. And we did not foresee or did not see where this was going to be, that we had enough big enough projects and policy that warrants us expending the amount of time and effort and dollars. And we did not see where an aha moment. So my recommendation and Mr. Baker's recommendation was that we receive this communication for recommendation, because this, normally when it's coming before council, it comes into a mail, not goes out to council and everyone ahead of time. Anyway, we do not foresee where we have the resources or even the need to, we don't even have a policy right now that we want to put all this effort into. So you got to have a reason to do it, and we don't see it unless you folks see it. Councillor Glant?
I agree. We just take it for information purposes.
All right. Thank you. So done. The next item, there was additional correspondence, and unfortunately this information did come in late. I know last year it was being discussed, and it was too late last year, so they jumped the gun. They got ahead of it a little bit. The first one I'm talking about is the Home for the Holidays. They were looking to try and have this during our week of the Christmas parade, which would be on December the 1st. But this is a group of residents within Kensington who want to take this on and do it. So they're trying to tie it into the Central Coastal Tourism Partnership. They have a chocolate trail, a hot chocolate trail. So they're going to try to tie it into the previous weekend, and then also have the Kensington Parade on the December the 1st. So they're looking at having it from November the 23rd to the 24th. They've got all kinds of ideas on what they're wanting to do. They're taking on the responsibility. They do have a request for $2,000 donation to cover some of the costs, and I would suggest that that may be something that we want to take a look at. It's a good initiative, I think. It's nice to see something like this coming forward from the residents of the town. I know we don't have a whole lot of time to think about it, but they need to start working on it as well, and they're busy. Some of the reasons why it's late is because they're busy, and it's just kind of, the summer just kind of slipped away on them. Whether we want to endorse something like this taking place would be the first thing, that we support it, because the town of Kensington would be the host. And then the second question would be, do we want to contribute something? And I would say up to $2,000. Council, what is your thoughts? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. I certainly like the idea, but again, this comes in a day of the council meeting. And I'm a firm believer now that the committee of council, it's much easier to make decisions when you get it a month in advance. Like committee of council, we made some decisions on some things tonight. We always have the option of changing our mind on those things, of course, when it comes to council. But that's the idea of committee of council. You get these things, and I'm not against the idea, but and we talked about our finances briefly here for a few minutes, and not sure exactly where things are, and then a letter comes in or a request comes in looking for $2,000, which I don't support that $2,000. And it also says in here, if you read it, I get it here now, where it has a schedule, and it also mentions somewhere along the way here where, yeah, the town they're asking for $2,000 along with providing assets you have to contribute to the setting, decorations, seating, fire barrels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That tells me that then maybe they're going to be looking for town staff to contribute somewhere along the way.
No.
And maybe not, yeah. But that would be more work for them. And the other thing, it says, a committee of local residents will be formed to organize and execute all activities. To me, if there was a list of people already there, this is telling me that the committee hasn't even been formed yet. So I don't support it. I don't feel that $2,000 right now, as we talked earlier tonight about finances, and especially when it comes in late like this, or before a council meeting, I prefer having them myself at the committee of council. It gives council members some time to kind of observe it and decide what you really want to do, and then when it comes to council, as I said earlier, you can always change your mind one way or the other. But no, I just find there's too many of these requests coming in at the last minute to council meetings, and that's my opinion. And I feel that we got to put a stop to that and have them come in an appropriate time for us to look at it and think about it and give us some time on them. Thank you.
I can comment verbally. I was told the names of some of the people that were going to be on this committee. I can't remember them right now, and I didn't write them down because I was just being told of it verbally. But I know they did have a list of names, and that's fine that we can bring this. There's still the opportunity to gather more information. If that's the wish of council, we can request more information. You just tell me what information you want, and we can discuss it in committee of council, because we do have the luxury of a committee of council meeting later this month, and that's probably still enough time for them to pull things together, because I think they've done a fair amount of work on preparing it already, and I wished I could remember some of the names, but I think there's about 5 people that they had that were interested in doing something like this last year, and it was just too late. When they wanted to bring it to council, it was too late then. So could we say that, could we say that, yes, we're potentially interested in this? We want to bring it before a committee of council, and then try to find out, get a list of who the names, who might be in the committee, and what else might you need to know to be able to make a decision? Are you interested, or is it blank, we don't even want to move forward on something like this? I guess if we don't want to move forward on something like this, then we don't have to bring it to committee of council. Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do understand exactly what you're saying about last-minute requests, and that it can lead to rushed decisions and poor decisions sometimes. I do love that it's resident-led, and I'm not sure what other questions I'd really have. I mean, I think I would support voting in favor of this now, because I'm not sure what other questions I'd really have on it. But I would like to suggest that we indicate to them that we are very interested in the concept, and if we do have other questions, then we can put those together and have them answered, hopefully at committee of council, and then be able to vote on it at our next committee council meeting.
Councillor Doucette?
Yeah, I could kind of agree with Deputy Mayor Spencer there, but I do again agree with Councillor Glant as well. The fact that, and I understand things happen, everybody's busy, but the fact that it was thought about last year and then again this year, we're kind of last minute on it. Again, I really do like what they're doing here and what it's capable of being for the town. I wonder if there's even just other ways. Like, are they seeking funds from other spots too, or is it just essentially Kensington?
I think that they're looking at the town of Kensington being the host, and any of the money they get is going to be going to different, like the Girl Guides trips. Any money they do raise is to go to other functions. If there's money raised, they're looking for the town to cover some of the costs.
Yeah.
And maybe all of the costs. They haven't got a specific budget. They're working on it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these things are being done by people that are busy.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't have the luxury that they're trying to do something for the town, which is good. I like the concept and everything of it. And sometimes it's like you can't have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted when you've got volunteers trying to do some things.
Yeah.
And I hate to kind of turn them off because we don't have every we don't have the question.
I have full
If they're
respect for
doing
that.
it.
There's no question, and like Deputy Mayor Spencer said, it is resident-led, and I have again much respect for people who are going to put their time and into these types of things. I'm just thinking, even like if we were to reach out to some local businesses that might want to say, you just get like a smaller portion sponsor to amount to the number that they needed, or just an idea anyway. But
Well, and the other thing is, as well, if you wanted to, if you were thinking of supporting it now and wanted to go with a smaller dollar amount, then I would suggest you say that, and then they would have to find the funding elsewhere. So we don't have to we don't want to be the ones looking for funding.
yeah.
All right, Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I agree with Councillor Spencer regarding getting a little more information, bring it to committee of council, and that if you had even a bit of a budget as to what it's going to cost and for the different things, and they are going to. I like the idea. Don't get me wrong there. I have nothing against the concept. And also, Councillor Doucette had mentioned regarding businesses within the area. Well, if the town becomes a sponsor, and then are they going to go out to various businesses who also pay taxes and ask, sponsorship from them and so on? It would be nice to see some sort of a budget, and I do also agree with Councillor Doucette where they talked about it last year, and I know everybody's busy. We're all busy too, and we got things to do, and I volunteered on many committees over the years, and it does take time, and you're depending on your volunteers. But as he mentioned, it was mentioned last year, and then it comes to us tonight. So let's give it committee of council some thought, and let it come to committee of council with maybe a little bit more of a budget. And I'm not against the concept, or I'm not against the idea. I think it's great. I just feel that these are these are coming to us too often on such short notice.
Any other comments, Council? Councillor McRae?
Thank you, Your Worship. I absolutely love the idea myself. It's bringing our community together. It's something for the youth. The only thing I have is going to different businesses, because I just find our poor businesses are hit up with every time you turn around, somebody's knocking at their door. Like, so, you know, for $2,000 and get more information, of course, but if you look at it, the home and school is involved in it, the food bank's involved in it, the scouts are in it, the Girl Guide's going to Ontario, the breakfast program. There's a lot of different places that we can help. It's not just giving $2,000 to somebody to do something. There's a lot of different things that's going to benefit from this. Plus, it's for the children. Like, you know, it's time we did do something in our community to be united and get together, and because normally it's always over something sad, or, you know, give them reason. You know, we keep shooting down good reasons, and our volunteers are just going to say, well, there's no sense because, you know, I think we really should look at it. Maybe I get a little bit more information on it, but it's definitely something I would be really in support of.
What more information would you like to know?
Well,
If
first
we're
of all, like the volunteers, do they need someone from council to help?
No.
Do they have all the volunteers? Do
All-
they need help?
All residents.
So, you know, I don't know. I just see so many different programs that's going to benefit from it. How do you say no? And it's for the children, you know.
Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, those are great points, Councillor Glant, there's no question. Or Councillor McRae, sorry. Yes, I'm kind of in the same, I want to take my words back essentially on, say, the businesses going to that. I didn't necessarily mean, like, basically, I guess what I was intending is, like, say you have a program and they, like, have their logo, or you get a sponsorship of some variety. Not that it would be a major boost for them, but I do agree it's a pretty big hit to them quite often. There's no question, sports teams, everything. And again, I love the idea. I have young children I know that would love it too. I guess what I'm saying too, and the other side of it is, it just reminds me of, like, say, even the donations, for example, for the ball fields. It was timing, it was kind of last minute, and where do we kind of draw the line with that? I guess Councillor Glant touched on that. But if we can make that happen, I mean, in some sort of way or fashion, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'd like to see it happen. Just, again, when next week or next month, we're going to be, what more are we going to be putting into it money-wise for different activities? That's all I meant.
Well, and I think one of the things they're looking for, Councillor Glant, I think you mentioned looking for settings, decorations, and they're looking for stuff that we might already have. Like if we have fire barrels or things that we already have that Public Works have that they can use, that's what they're looking for, something that they might be able to contribute. If they want seating, chairs, well, we got chairs, you know, if they want to borrow things like that. It is something that is trying to be led by the community, by volunteers in the community, and they're looking for some support, financial support, to try to take it off their shoulders and hopefully generate some money. And they are looking for sponsors from local businesses for the Ginger House building competition. They're starting kits for local business. They're looking for sponsors from the local businesses for things like that. I know they've said that. They're also having a Meet Your Neighbor open house. So there's a lot of good stuff in there that we really should be trying to get done. But we're never going to do it as a town. And let's face it, it's just not going to happen as a town. We don't have the resources, we don't have the staff. It's not going to happen ourselves. The only way it's going to happen is if somebody takes it on and does it. It's like the winter carnival we used to have. That was done by by the community, by volunteers, and it's eventually, it's died now, partly because of the weather. There's, I think part of it, we don't even know if we're going to have snow or ice in February, but that was a community-based volunteers that went and did it, and I guess we probably put some money into it, but this is a big, to me, I think it's a big initiative they're trying to do, and it's a small amount of money that they're asking for us if they can pull it all off, and I don't know. I'd hate to see us say, well, we want a whole bunch more information and turn off this whole group and say, you know what, never mind. As I think Councilor McCrae said, you know, there's a point at which you can ask too much, and first, you know, it's not worth it. Why try and do anything? Just forget about it. Let the town go ahead and do it themselves. This is a group that's trying to do something, and should we not be trying to step up and support it? Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Councilor McCrae made a great point there with I think it was the breakfast program, the Girl Guides, and the food bank are all going to get donations out of this festival. I don't, myself, I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure what other questions I have. I guess maybe a budget, I guess, but even then, I'm not sure what that would weigh, knowing that whatever profits are going to be donated to those three items. So the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking I'll move just to go ahead and make the donation tonight.
Just before you do it, just one of the things that the Queen Elizabeth Home and School Association, they've already booked 2 hours of ice service, and they've already booked that, and they've committed to pay for it. So the Queen Elizabeth Home and School Association are already doing that. So that's part of this whole thing. They've committed to it already. So there's been some commitment already. And so all right, did you had a motion on the motion?
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and do it tonight, because I'm not sure what other information would really sway us at this point.
They're not looking for staff or council, unless you folks want to volunteer and step up and help them out. But they haven't approached you, have you? Have they? No. Okay. All right. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Worship. Just
McCrae.
looking
Just-
at,
You should,
We should-
Deputy Mayor Spencer just
Yeah,
made a
we-
motion.
yeah,
so
we need to-
Okay.
Yeah, before-
We get the motion
yeah.
second.
Yeah, do you want to second that motion first?
I'll
All right.
second it.
Then it's seconded by Councillor McCrae. All right, now you can discuss the motion. And
just looking at what they've done so far, there's a lot of thought and time put into this. And maybe they were like late sending it out to us, but it looks like there's been a lot of hours and time and thought put into their schedule so far.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's just been thrown together. It's something that's been worked on, I'd say, for quite some time, because I've been on a lot of committees trying to do stuff like this, and you just don't do this overnight.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the work that they have done, and if they do need volunteers or anything, I would be more than happy to help out at that time.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion, Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, I like the concept, and I have no problem with what they're trying to do here, but I still feel that, and we're going to be going to another one right after this one, so you make a donation here on a few hours' notice, and then we go to another one that came in as well, who has had an activity in this community for a number of years now for Halloween. So, where do you draw the line? I have no problem with the concept. I have no problem with what they're doing, and it's great that they're volunteering their time and everything, but again, they're coming in the day of a council meeting. They talked about it last year, and here we are talking about it, getting the email or getting the information, 3-4 hours before a council meeting or whatever it was. And it's the same with the one that's going to be coming up after this. So it's not what they're doing. It's how it's coming forward. And next month, maybe we get then another group comes along, council day, says, look, we're looking for $2,000, or we're looking for this, and we're looking for that. That's why committee of council is so important. At least it gives you some time. But anyway, that's that's my take on it, and that's why I can't support I'm not going to support these things when they're coming in at last minute.
All right, any other questions, council? Any comments? Okay, the motion that's on the floor is, somebody have it written down? What did,
To support the
to support the initiative?
holiday festival to the financial contribution of $2,000.
Okay. And Councilor McCray, you're okay with that? Second it. All right, council, you know what the question is? All those in favor? All those opposed? Let the record reflect Councilor Glant and Councilor Doucette opposed the motion. Motion carried. All right, and as Councilor Glant mentioned, there is another request coming before us, and this one is obviously something that can't be put off to Committee of Council. And this came in last minute. As a matter of fact, I actually wrote up what you have there from the information because it wasn't presented on a written fashion, but there was a phone conversation and a text message. So this is a last minute thing, and whether we want to move forward on something like this, this is not an initiative where the community is getting involved. This is an initiative where we're being asked to pay for an asset that would be eventually used over and over and over again. Karen Murphy has requested Malpeque Fire and Iron, what they'd want to build 10 stands. So, council, what is your thoughts on this? I'm not sure, quite frankly, if council says no. The question I put to Karen was, if council says no, what are you going to do? And I don't know what she's going to do. She may move forward some other way. She may get somebody else to pay for it, or she may just not do anything on it. So, anyway, Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. So, in the case of this one, I assume this is to build stands or whatever to hold the pumpkins that has normally been done with wood ones over the last number of years. Is that the case?
No, actually, what it is, Councillor Gallant, if I understand it correctly, it's to hold one pumpkin, and you, for example, could put it in your property, and you could put a tea light in it, or another light in it, or shine a light on it, and it'll be one post 3 or 4 feet high into the ground with a stand or a spike or something that holds the thing on, and she was looking to try and get 10 of them built and position somewhere along Victoria Street East is what she's thinking, and thinking that if this goes, it may be something that other people may want to take on and become involved with as well. People may want to purchase their own. I'm not sure what I'm not speaking for or against it here. Go ahead, Councillor McCray.
Thank you, Your Worship. Normally, did we not give the pumpkins out? We didn't charge the people for a pumpkin, did we?
We do. They pay. They pay for pumpkin by donation, and that money, any of the money that is collected, is given to. Well, I think it's been given to the Kish art class at one time. It's been given to the graduating class or something like that. It's been given to the Queen Elizabeth. There's been different things. I think there was given to a needy child at one time.
Okay.
So they kind of pick a need in the community depending on what they get and where it goes.
So my question is, if they come to get a pumpkin, we usually put the pumpkins out there by the town office sign.
Correct.
And they just come in and give a donation, and they could take a pumpkin.
There's a donation
right?
box.
Or there's
there.
a box there.
Yeah.
So so now if they come to get a pumpkin, is it still going to be by donation to put on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
is where I was
these here
lost.
are individual ones. I'm not sure how she's planning to do. We don't have any more information about how she's going to get them put out and who's going to put them on their properties. It's less informative than the previous. I gave you as much information as I had, which is, I grant it, is not much. Councillor Toombs.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we should just pass on this one at the moment. I understand what they're doing, but also they put them downtown, and fill up the stands and stuff, and we may have to fix the stands and do some stuff with them every year. We have to do that too. We can maybe look at this another year, but I think we should stick to the core, what it's doing down there. It's also a lot easier to keep an eye on the pumpkins and everything else, and,
So your focus would be that we need to focus more on getting more carvings on the stands we have before we start to spread them out
Yes,
more?
yeah,
Is that
like-
kind of
like-
your thinking?
Yeah, because I know some years they're pretty sparse and some years they're full, and, so you get a lot of traffic driving up down Front Street. I know myself, when we're driving back, I always look at them and, geez, there's some interesting one, whereas you might not notice scattered around town or up the street. I think we should just stick with the way it is right at the moment.
Okay. Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Worship. When you're purchasing them to put on, possibly on private property, I think that's up to individuals to do that on their own. Would it be of somewhat interest if we were to purchase maybe 2 of them that could go somewhere in the vicinity of the town hall, and Karen could look after that, and then maybe somehow or another promote it, that residents who are interested in them or like them could purchase one then for their own property down the road in the future, or even maybe this year if they were made soon enough before Halloween, which is getting very close. But maybe that might be a thought, just a couple of them, just to put it close to the current displays or whatever, to see, just to kind of see what it would look like, and if there'd be any interest from the general public to purchase them for their own property in the future. It's just a thought.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't know if that price is based on them doing 10 units and there's a economy of scale, or if it's the same price that they did 2. So I don't know the answer to that question.
10 units for 70 plus 850 or 80, 50 each.
No, that just means that $70 plus HST is $80.50 for each one. And that's based on them doing 10. 15% of $70 is $10.50. That's what that means. Yeah, no, that's what that means, yeah. Did somebody else have their hand up over here? Any feedback, council? What's your thoughts? This is kind of a last minute thing, and this is one that, it's a capital asset. Well, I don't know if it's capital or not. Probably it's too small to be capital, but anyway. And I get Councillor Toombs's point about should we not be focusing more on trying to get more pumpkins on the stands down around town versus trying to spread them out more, and I get your point on that, and that's point well taken. Councillor McRae?
I agree with Councillor Toombs to leave it as is and try and get them more children involved and on the display. The only thing is, if we buy 10 units and they're going to go on different people's property, is Public Works going to go and put them in on their property, and then they got to go back and pick them up, and then we got to store them, and then who do we say gets them the following year to put them on their property? I think it's opening up a can of worms. That's just my thought.
There's a few, yeah, you're right. There are a few unanswered questions. It's not fully flushed out, which is, you've got what was given to me. Yes, Councillor Toombs.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we were going to spend $850, I'd like to spend $850 on more banners and stuff like that ourselves anyways, right? Like for all of fall, not just, to kind of concentrate on Halloween itself too, right? But anyways, that's my opinion on it.
All right, Deputy Mayor Spencer.
Yeah, I think I agree with Councillor Toombs on this. I know when I worked in Summerside, I did have coworkers different years come to me and say how nice it was, our pumpkin displays we had. And I do recall, it was either last year or the year before, a couple of those same people came to me and said, my goodness, your pumpkins are down this year. We were out there last week and there weren't many. So it may be better to try and concentrate what we have so that we still draw people from Summerside to come out and have a look around town some evenings.
Well, and that $800 could be spent on more pumpkins if we can get more people to carve them, so. All right, so is everybody in agreement then that we just not move forward on this, that we reject this request? Show of hands that we reject this request? Councillor Glenn, are you for it or against it? No, so unanimous that we reject the request? All right. Thank you. We don't need a motion to reject it. We just reject it. All right. Thank you. That's been interesting discussions and good points all around. All right. I don't think there's anything else to bring before this council meeting, so if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor Toombs and seconded by Councillor, I think McCrae got her hand up. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimous. It is now 9:05 and we are adjourned. Thank you, council. Thank you for your patience and thank you for your feedback.